Thank you very much. Sorry about that. Thank you very much. I'm so glad that you're here tonight and that you took the time to be a part of something so big. Well, our day started out at 4:30 this morning. Headed to the airport about 5:30. Already packed and ready to go. Normally my husband travels with me. His name is Tony McWilliams. We've been married for 37 years. We got married on the most romantic day of the year. I'm sure you could guess what that would be. Valentine's Day? No, not at all. It was income tax, April 15th. So I just said, you can sit this one out, right? So we walk into the airport. It's about 15 till 6 now in the morning or so. And it didn't look good. 50 people in line, 2 ticket agents. 50 people over there in the security line. And people, I was hearing them talk who had been there for 2 days. The airport in Dallas closed at 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon because we had a tornado sweep through our area, and it's been violent weather everywhere. And so we were rather surprised, and I said, oh, dear Lord, what are we going to do now? And I don't know if you know this or not, but there isn't a flight that comes every hour to Cedar Rapids. And believe me, we looked for them. And the ones we found were $2,000 a piece. So we thought, okay, this isn't going to work. And so we just said, Lord, help us. And I loved it. Holly said, it's in times like this that you understand how much you're not in control. And she said, it just makes you giggle. I'm like, she's crazy. I'm not feeling anything like giggling right now at all. So the Lord is good. And after 2 hours of waiting in line, we finally got to the counter to find out everybody had taken our seat, right? And the plane we were supposed to be on was already gone. And she said, the best I can do, she looked for 200 miles in a radius, because we said, fly us in anywhere. We'll just drive. We've got enough time. It's still morning, right? And she said, well, the only thing I can do for you, all of those other flights, all those other cities are booked. I said, are you sure? Look again. So she kept looking, and she said, ma'am, it's just not going to happen. And I said, I have somewhere really important to be tonight. I'm speaking to a wonderful group of people tonight in Iowa. And she said, lady, look around you. Everybody's got somewhere to be tonight. So under my breath, I'm saying, Lord, please just show us favor. And she said, well, what we'll do for you, we'll give you standby. Have you ever done standby? That is nerve-wracking. Oh, and by the way, standby was going to be like 6 hours later. So we said, okay. So you hang around, hoping they'll call your name. And thank the Lord, she did put us at the top of the list. Well, she put me at the top of the list, and then she put Holly sort of at the bottom of the list, our daughter. And I'm like, no, we have to travel together. So finally, after many, many hours, and I was standing just looking out the window like I could see anything, right? Saying, oh, God, please help. We just trust you. I knew the group back here was praying. And then the lady, she just softly said, Gail McWilliams, you made it. And I'm like, yes. So as I'm walking through, I told Holly, I said, I feel like I've been at the pearly gate all day long. And St. Peter said, okay, you made it. Oh, thank God. So glad to be on that crowded airplane to get here. And so I had the joy on the plane to be able to talk to Jessica and say, tell your heart to beat again. How prophetic your theme has been, no kidding. I'm excited to be here, and it seems appropriate that when I come to Iowa, I should tell you right up front, I am not running for president. But a lot of my friends are, and I can talk about all of them later. I'm really grateful. At my table today, I said, tell me what are some of the greatest things about Iowa. And I was being filled in with so many incredible things that the state has done. But specifically in this city, I was sort of excited because I, too, am a Kurt Warner fan, and I understand he played here, right? In fact, I have a brand new book coming out this summer, and he's in it. And I thought, surely I get to meet this guy because I'm originally from St. Louis. And so that's where I fell in love with Kurt Warner. So he was practicing here, and they got really good there. But I am so excited, not only for what you do, the heart that you have, but to be part of an event tonight that brings all groups together. I think this is nearly my 90th event, such as yours, across the nation about life in 37 states. And there's something about the Heartland. Y'all just have a big old heart. No kidding. And I'm grateful for what you do, and I'm grateful that you took the time. And we're here to get a job done tonight, but I'm also here to focus not only on the job that's done at Bridgehaven, but to tell you a story that 2 years ago I was here. I was speaking to some national leaders and with some national leaders. And there was a gal by the name of Trish. She's here tonight. And that's when she first told me, have you ever heard about Bridgehaven? 2 years ago I heard about you all. So I have been really excited to be here and see it for myself because I'm from Missouri. It's a show me state. But you know, I told you Kurt Warner, I loved him, learned to love him back in St. Louis, where I grew up, where we started our family in the Midwest, had our children in Illinois. But I've got to tell you this, that it was in the Midwest that I learned how to speak. But in 2000, I moved to Dallas, and hey, I learned how to talk. I learned words I'd never known before, like I ain't and can't and fixin'. Oh, wow. My kids were so excited when they heard me say the word fixin'. They thought it was dinner. I was fixing on getting out of there myself. No kidding. But one day a man challenged me, and he said, when are you going to learn how to talk true Texan? I said, well, what would that be after all those words? And you know, another thing that's so great, you never have to know anyone's name. You just call him Bubba. And he's married to Bubette, and they have little bubbies. It's perfect. You mash your taters and you mash buttons all the way. But when he challenged me that there's one more word I didn't know, couldn't believe it. I said, what is it? He said, it's the word big O. Park your big old truck on that big old tree, we'll have big old time. Big O. And I got to tell you, God's all about life. In fact, it's a big old plan of his. He doesn't even care that it's politically correct. Isn't that amazing and audacious? Here it is. God himself, the designer of life, the giver of life, the sustainer of life. He sends his son, Jesus Christ, to redeem your life and then give you abundant life. And after this life, eternal life. Life is a big old deal. And for some reason, we're in the middle of a blind culture. See, people think, I can't see. Oh, it's the culture that can't see. We call evil good and good evil. Are you kidding? Sometimes we choose not to see. And by the way, not seeing, it's really not fun at all. But I must tell you, I'm your best friend. You look great. No kidding. You look thinner. You look younger. You look fit for this race called life. So here we are. What will we do with our lives? Really, that's the question. I had no idea the day that I went into a very famous hospital in the Midwest for a battery of tests that they were going to do all day long. They had seen something in my one eye that concerned them, and they wanted to do testing on it to see where we were headed. And at the end of the day, I was sitting alone in the doctor's office by that time. I was exhausted from all the tests. And I was nearly 4 months pregnant with our second daughter. And the doctor walked in, and he said, Gail, you have to choose today between your baby or your eyes. I said, the choice is made. I choose my baby. The doctor stood up, slammed shut my folder, and said, what a foolish decision. And he left the room. Once more, I sat alone. I knew I'd made the right decision, but I had no idea the consequences or the impact. And please forgive me. Many years ago, when I sat there alone, I wasn't thinking, wow, one day this will make a great story, a great book. I'll travel around the nation, and voila, I'll be in Cedar Rapids, Iowa before you know it. It was hard and yet easy, because I remembered something that someone had shared with me as a young girl, and it was this. It was about choices. People all the time, they're crying out. They want their choice. They want their rights. They're all about pro-choice. Yeah, me too. I chose life. I hate it that they took that term. That's our term. We choose life. And in the middle of the choosing, we've also chosen to help people who are in the middle of crisis. We've chosen in the middle of all the different decisions that could be made to help them understand fully and to give them options that are healthy and good, not only for their own being, their own family, but also for the baby within. And what does the other side do? The choice there? Do you want to use your MasterCard or your Visa? It's a big industry. It's all about money. But what you're a part of and what I love is to care for people. And I know in this room tonight, maybe some of you are concerned about life because of the regrets of yesterday. Thank you that you have shown up as well. not to only model the redemption of life, but to make a difference. There's forgiveness, and I love the forgiveness of God. It's as far as the east is from the west. It's the picture of infinity. And to many of you, some of you, you don't even know who you will help. And that's the beauty of not only your kind, but it's the beauty of what we get to do. We get to pay forward. Not long ago, a businessman in Abilene, Texas, walked in, put down $1,000 at Chick-fil-A. And he told the young man, he said, you pay for everybody as long as you can out in that drive-thru with my money. Lunch is on me. 86 people were helped that day. Some cried, some didn't know how to respond. Some were overwhelmed. Some didn't even know what to say. Some were just overjoyed that someone would think of them, shocked. And that's really what we're part of. We get to pay forward. We get to help people who may not understand, people who are in the middle of crisis. And listen to me, if we're not careful, we call it a woman's crisis. No, this is a national crisis. The numbers are up to what now? Nearly 60 million children? Children terminated. May we not be like the days of old of World War II, when there was a horrid, wretched thing where people were treated in inhumane ways and were slaughtered as well in the Holocaust. It is said and reported that as they loaded all of the Jewish people into the cars, the train cars, the cattle cars, they would cram them in there. They would be in there for days. It was terrible. No food, no water. Those people thought they were going to some kind of work camp or something where they could still be productive. No, they were headed to the gas chambers. And the tracks in which the buildings that they passed, some of those were churches. And it is reported that the churches would hear the screams of the people and only sing louder. May we not be that culture. May we not be people that just turn our back and go, you know what? It's not my kid, not my problem. And I know that I'm speaking to the choir here. I know that you care. But the truth of the matter is, can we do more? Can we be effective in this hour? May we never have the next generation say to us, where were you, Mom and Dad? What did you do? You know, it's really easy when we come to an event like this that we can just throw money towards an organization. I hate that mentality. It's about investing in somebody else's life that you may never see. You know, many times when I travel around the nation, especially in interviews, I'm often asked the same question. Why would you do it? Why would you have children? And I really believe the core of what I'm being asked is, how did you choose between convenience and legacy? Legacy wins hands down every time in my book. It's about the next generation. Who said it's all about you anyway? We're in a culture where we don't want to be inconvenienced. We want to do our own thing. And for sure, nobody's going to tell us what to do. May God open our eyes again to see that there is a God who has designed life, a God who has not only generally, but specifically given to us a game plan. And what he would love to see from us tonight is an abundance of good that comes from us, together as a team. Ladies and gentlemen, I know this, that for some of us tonight, we're going to be part of volunteer help. We're going to be part of bringing supplies. We're going to be part of giving money. I get that. But for me personally, it costs everything. I live with it 24/7. And there are days when I'm sad. I want to see my children. I look at my husband. I want to see my husband. And then I think, well, he's still the young man I married 37 years ago. I told Tony the other day, I said, when I see again, which I plan on doing someday, I said, when I see again, I'm going to look in your face and go, oh my goodness, is that what we've been through? John Maxwell called me an ambassador of hope, and I love that title more than any. And being an ambassador of hope, I'll tell you what hope's really all about. Hope always sees beyond. It's like when life hits you at eye level, hope puts you on your tippy toes to look over and say, there's more. I love hope. And one day I was thinking, what could I do that would engage me in hope on a daily basis? You know what I did? I put my car keys back in my purse. You can think that is the strangest thing. Why would you, who can't see right now, put your car keys in your purse? Don't you get it? I'm engaged in hope. Plus, I'm from Dallas. Those guys are crazy on the highway, too. I think they can't see either. But I engage myself in hope. And my question is, what do you put in your hand that engages you in hope? What is it that you have that you're focused on that would cause your heart to beat again? You know, speaking of your car and car keys, the other day I had to update my Texas ID. So my husband and I drove up north of Dallas so we wouldn't have long lines. It was a small little community. And in fact, there were only 5 people in the line, and I made friends with all of them by the time it was my turn. So I put my old ID down, and I talked to this grumpy government agent. Have you ever met one? Wow, bad mood. And I laid it down, and I said, my name is Gail McWilliams, and I lost my eyesight. So if there's any form I need to fill out, my husband's here, and he'll help me. And she just sort of barked at me like, oh, okay. I stood there a minute, and I said, you know, ma'am, I think it's been expired for a while. I want to say I'm sorry. And she leaned in real fast and said, how would you even know? Well, I just leaned right back and said, well, the other day when the cops pulled me over. You know what I found out about life? It's contagious. She laughed real big, and I won a friend before the day was over. I think the truth of the matter is, in this culture in which we're living, don't be afraid to step into it. Some of you have been afraid and you've stepped back. No, step into it. It's like one day, not long ago, I was asked to speak at my first football stadium in Louisiana. Wow, I was so excited. And as my husband escorted me out to the field, on the way out, I said, where will I be standing? He said, the field. And I go, nowhere on the field. He said, 50-yard line. Immediately came to me, and I went, perfect. So when he gave me the mic and he walked off and I was the keynote and I stood there, I greeted the people. And then I said, I find it interesting and profound where I stand today is where most people live, the 50-yard line. In between 2 goals, halted between 2 opinions. One represents a victory, the other one, a loss. And there they stand, afraid. And ladies and gentlemen, God has not called us to be afraid of this hour. You've been strategically positioned for it. But on that 50-yard line, we're afraid to move forward because of the pushback of the culture or the regrets of yesterday, the mistakes that we've made, or thinking that we can't. Oh, believe me, I know that I can't without him. And you can't either. And most people, like yourselves, visual people, I think you're high maintenance, no kidding. You're only going to believe if you see, and you're not going to go unless you see the end results. But there's more beyond what you see. It's about vision, and when you have vision, hey, the sky is the limit. But still, knowing all of that, we're still afraid, we're timid, and wishing someone else would come along and play this game of life on our behalf. And you know, after a while, we're content to just mosey off the field, get in the grandstands, and watch the game. Watch everyone else play. And I asked the people of Louisiana that day, and I'm going to ask you here in Iowa, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, what would it take for you to get all the way back on the field of life and play it with all your might? Listen to me. This is a strategic hour. Anybody could be here tonight. They're not. It's you. If it's you, you're the one. We don't know what tomorrow brings. We don't know what next year will look like. We don't know what's happening to our liberties here. It seems like the world is spinning out of control and unraveling, and yet he's called you to be salt and you to be light. And you know what? Salt makes a big difference. It's the spice of life in the middle of a tasteless culture. And light, it's always a gift in a dark place. My friends, ladies and gentlemen, you've been strategically positioned for this hour. Step into it. Don't be afraid of it. Don't fear the opposition, because the truth of the matter is, if you can listen beyond their words and really hear the cry of the heart, will make a big difference. And people's lives will be changed. And as far as the children within the womb, just recently I was talking to a woman. I said, tell me your story. She was post-abortive. And she said, well, when I went to have my abortion, the lady convinced me it's a blob of tissue, though I thought she might not be right. But she kept saying it over and over. It's a blob of tissue. And I believed it. And I went on and had the procedure, and then afterwards, she came to me and said, "Oh, I thought you might want to know it was a little boy." First of all, not only is that cruel, but to sit on truth, to take their money, and to feel like you did your quota for the day. Ladies and gentlemen, may our hearts beat again with the heart of God himself, who's a big O promoter of life. May we let our hearts beat again for other people that we've never met, that we'll never know. And you know the child I carried in my womb that day that the doctor said was a foolish decision? Well, she's our only married daughter so far. And she and her husband have given to us 3 incredible grandchildren. It is about the next generation. It is about legacy. It is about the seeds that we sow now. And I believe this, Ecclesiastes 11:6 says it well. Keep sowing your seed, for you don't know which will grow. Perhaps it all will. And some of you tonight, you may say, but you don't understand. I've got some obstacles. You're going to talk to this woman about obstacles? Listen, I've walked out with the wrong man before. I've gotten in the wrong car. I've corrected the wrong children in front of their parents. I've eaten things that aren't edible. I've talked to people who aren't there. And I've reached out to hug people and I've gotten the wrong body parts before. That is awkward. But I keep reaching. I don't give up. My favorite story, I wish it weren't true, but it is. I was on my way to Wisconsin. I was with my husband. We were standing at the gate at the airport. I turned to him. I was just talking away, telling him a story, not knowing he'd walked over to the ticket counter to take care of our tickets. So as I'm just talking away, finally the gentleman on the other side of me said, "Ma'am, who are you talking to?" I just turned to him, smiled real big, and I said, "Oh, I speak for a living. I'm just practicing." What would it take for you to practice life and loving people? What would it take for you to see beyond all the things that you think you can't? Who told you you can't? That should be the most profane word. Get it out of your vocabulary. We serve a God who does the impossible. He delights in the impossible. Hey, I got to Cedar Rapids tonight. Okay, it might have been close to 5:30, but I got here. Yay! I'm passionate about life, and it's not just because of what I see. But I will tell you this, I see more than you think I see. I see destiny in this place. I see potential in this place. I see this center, Bridgehaven, being able to do more than they ever thought they could do before. Don't limit the Holy One of Israel. I see you all making a difference in this culture. And I see a state that all the world looks at first to say, okay, who are they going to vote for? What are they going to do? Listen to me. This is the time. Life counts for this vote. You can talk all you want about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You know what? Liberty and the pursuit of happiness don't mean too much if you don't have life. Don't be afraid to do what's right in this hour and to step forward and not just do what's convenient, but what if you went the extra mile? I believe tonight as a group we could do this. But I must address one more thing before I move from this place. When we talk about the theme tonight, tell your heart to beat again. Some of you have lived in disappointment too long. I know what it is to be disappointed. This is not the world I wanted. In disappointment, though, if there's a full surrender and saying, use me no matter what, the first letter's changed and it becomes his appointment. And I've seen that in my life, places nobody usually gets to go. A life that most people are in awe about. I don't know how it happened. It's just that one day at the end of myself, when I didn't think I could go on, I said, be it unto me according to your word. I hate where I am, and yet I believe in the middle of it all. That's why I live in expectant hope. One day, if it's a medical breakthrough, a miracle, I don't care how it comes. I'm ready for it. I got my car keys like I told you. I'm back on the road. I may have to borrow your car till I find my way, but I'm back. I'm engaged in hope. I want you to engage in hope again. I want you to engage in life. But some of you, you may say, but I'm stuck. What if you found out that you weren't stuck, but you were strategically positioned for this hour? You'll live life totally different. The place where you work, the family that you're in, the church that you go to, the community where he has you. No, you're not stuck. And quit thinking you are. If you think you're stuck, you can't go anywhere else. One day a friend called me and she said, Gail, I have got a gift for you I want to give to you. I was excited. I love gifts. Until she said, it's the movies. I want to take you to the movies. I moved the phone from my ears. I looked skyward and said, God, are these the only friends you could bring me? She heard my hesitancy and she said, oh, listen, come on, we'll have a lot of fun and the dialogue's great and you'll figure out what's going on. Let's do it. I said, okay. So we went to the movies and, saddest gift I've ever received. I cried all the way through this movie. It triggered things within me, and we were going through something at that time with my mother-in-law who had had a very serious and very sad disease. And so I just sat there and cried. And when it was all over, I was still just listening to the music. And finally, I stood up because I knew it was time we had to go. And I independently moved down the row by myself, touching the chairs in front of me. When I got to the aisle, I reached out for my friend, and we walked arm in arm. Neither one of us talking. We were crying. Finally, we stepped into the corridor of this huge theater in Dallas, and I moved over to the side and let go of my friend. I just wanted to stand there and get myself back together. Just about that time, she leaned in and said, I need to go to the restroom. Do you? I said, no, that's okay. You go on. I'm fine. You sure? No, go. I'm fine. So she left, and I was sort of glad to have the space. And I stood there for quite a while, and after some time, I got myself back together. I've got my composure back and thinking about what we're going to do the rest of the day. But no friend came back. And I perceived I might be in the way of people because people were moving left and right in front of me. So I stepped back 2 big steps, and I stepped over 2 big steps to get out of the way. And I stood there for a long time, still no friend. So I thought, I'm just going to pretend like I work here and greet everyone. I turned, hello, looked ahead, hi, how are you? Looked this way, hey, have a good day. I didn't even know who I was talking to, but I knew they were there. I did that for the longest time, greeting people, when my friend finally came back and she said, Gail, what are you doing? You're standing in the men's restroom. Even Walmart has greeters. I'll tell you what, I was stuck that day. I had no idea where I was, but I still showed up. I got off the 50-yard line, and I'll tell you what, I made a lot of men happy that day. And a memory, too. So many times people try to comfort me and go, oh, honey, I've walked into the wrong restroom before. Yeah, but you didn't stay half the day greeting everybody. I didn't know where I was that day, but I still showed up. Maybe you don't know what the future looks like. Maybe some things are a little shaky in your world right now. I'm telling you, there's a rock that you can anchor yourself to. And I can tell you this, choose life, that you and your descendants might live. And I know this, you may think, I'm just an individual, I'm just a couple, I'm just a family, what could I do? You make a big difference in the whole big scheme of things. And we will not be caught singing louder as the slaughter is going on in America. But we will stand up and say, we choose life. How can we help? What can we do? We will be salt and we will be light. And before I finish, I want to say one more thing to you. You're not stuck. Say it with me. I'm not stuck. I've been positioned. Tell somebody next to you, say, you're not stuck. You've been positioned. I look forward to meeting you tonight back at the book table. The only book I brought this time around is our signature story called Seeing Beyond. There's so much more to our story. You will laugh, you will cry. It's a gift that you can give to others. Give them a gift of life. Encourage people, but encourage yourself as well along the way. It's an audio, and by the way, the audio book is our daughter, the daughter I carried that day that the doctor said was a foolish decision. She is the voice for me in the book. And then at the end, there's a special tribute where the two of us just talk, unscripted, heart to heart. We laugh, we cry. And I believe that you'll understand fully. This isn't about an event. This isn't just about a speaking career. Ladies and gentlemen, I would give my life over and over for what we're talking about tonight. Life himself strengthens me, and he will do the same for you as well. And I say to you tonight, may the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you, be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. May he grant you according to your heart's desire and fulfill all your purpose. May he give you increase more and more to you and your children. And may he do exceedingly abundantly above all that you could ask or think, according to the power that works within you. In Jesus' name, amen.